Unhealthy eating habits have contributed to a lot of health problems epidemic today. Health problems like diabetes, high blood pressure, osteoporosis, arthritis, cancer, health disease, and so on. The good news is, if you can control what goes into your mouth and your body, you will live your best. For what you put into your mouth determines how well or sick you live. You and I know that poor diet is associated with major health risks that causes illness and even death. So, by making smart food choices today can help you protect yourself from all these health problems. Our integrative nutrition health specialist, Miss Betty Olayinka-Folani Akinlosotu, aka Bufa, wants to see you living your best without any health issues. She made this known in her program showing every Sunday on Healthy Living with Bufa TV. She tells us how our food choice affects our health and how we feel today, tomorrow, and in the future. If you are opting for optimal health, from fighting free radicals to living your way into a healthy and beautiful body, here are some things you must do. Eat a nutritious, healthy, balanced diet every day. Practice your daily exercise and take your supplements, especially vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, and chlorophyll to boost your immune system against free radicals that cause cancer and other diseases. Join us on this program every Sunday, 1:30 p.m. US time, 7:30 p.m. African time, and 6:30 p.m. United Kingdom time, where she educates on health and nutrition as well as features professionals from various fields to sensitize you on wellness. See you there.
Hello, viewers. Welcome back to Healthy Living with Bufa channel. And thank you so much for joining us again today live. My name has not changed. I'm still your host, Betty Olayinka-Folani Akinlosotu, aka Bufa. I need to clear my throat. Seriously, I need to. Okay, guys, let's get started. I know you guys can't wait to see what we have for you today on the program. Don't worry, it's a beautiful day. It's a good discussion today. It's something that's going to be a little bit emotional and factual. We want to really say the truth about what is going on in our community to our children. Our discussion on the program today, it's on child abuse, sexual, psychological, and physical abuse. And we all know what is going on in the world today when it comes to child abuse. I don't want to talk about abuse in general. I just want to be focused today. Let's be focused on our children, because we all believe, and we do say they are the leaders, the futures of tomorrow. But if their life, their today, is being abused, brutalized, molested, you know, they won't be what we pray for them to be in the future. Because one way or the other, they will have a psychological, mental, emotional effect of what has happened to them when they were young. So because of this, we want to focus on child abuse. And shortly, we're going to introduce our guest on the show today. She's an expert when it comes to coaching the teens, the children. She has many years experience in this. And I'm sure that all the information we are getting today, as you know, being a mother, I will also learn, and I want everybody that will join us today to also pay attention to all the information we're giving out today in all our 3 segments: the Health Corner, interview with experts, and of course, nutrition segment. But right now, before we go to interview with experts, let's have our head tips. And our discussion today on Health Corner is hepatitis. What is hepatitis? Hepatitis is an inflammation of the liver. And this is when liver is exacerbated, or you can call it inflamed, when your liver swell up. This is hepatitis. Now, we have different types of hepatitis. And what's this type of hepatitis? We have hepatitis A, and this is a highly contagious liver infection caused by hepatitis A virus that causes inflammation and affects liver function. We also have hepatitis C. It's also a viral infection that causes inflammation of the liver that leads to liver inflammation. So basically, we can say that A is contagious, C is also contagious, but individual through contact. And don't forget that hepatitis C is the worst for the liver damage. And I want to talk about the next one, which is toxic hepatitis. Toxic hepatitis is when substances damage the liver and cause it to swell up. And the primary drivers behind toxic hepatitis are alcohol, toxic chemicals, and certain medications we take regularly, due to health problems we battle. And the last one I'm going to talk about, we have more than this, but I'm just going to talk about 4 hepatitis that are very, very dangerous to human health. The last one is autoimmune hepatitis. This is when your own body's defenses attack your liver cells, causing it to swell and become damaged. And you see, this hepatitis occurs when the body's immune system, which ordinarily attacks viruses, bacteria, infections in your body system, and other pathogens, instead target the liver. So what I'm trying to make here for you to understand what autoimmune hepatitis is. For instance, if you have, let's say your body needs antioxidants, and these antioxidants fight the free radicals in your body, such as cancer and other diseases. But instead of that antioxidant fighting bacteria, it's now fighting the organs such as liver in your body. So this is what it means by autoimmune hepatitis. So now let's talk about the causes. The causes is very important. We need to know what the causes of this, or let's do the signs first. So it is when you know the signs and symptoms, then you will know what actually causes. And you see, the possible symptoms during the chronic phase include this. Listen, you're going to be having jaundice. We all know what jaundice is: yellow discoloration of the skin or eyes. Both your skin and your eyes, they turn yellow. This is what they call jaundice. Another sign is easy bruising, bleeding, unnecessary, abnormal, and unusual bleeding. This is another sign. Your urine become dark and your stool become light. That means you have dark colored urine and light colored stools. This is another sign. You also have fatigue. You'll be having abdominal pain. You will lose appetite. You have nausea, diarrhea, fever, itching, and also ascites. This is when you accumulate fluid and swelling of the abdominal cavity. And the last one I'm going to mention about the signs and symptoms is when you begin to see a star-shaped vein pattern right here developing on the swelling belly. When your belly becomes swell up and you see a sign, a pattern that looks like vein, but it's like a star shape, that's another sign of hepatitis. Now, let's look at the causes. What are the causes? What are the possible causes of this hepatitis? Several things can be hepatitis causes. Anything can be, but microbes, harmful substances, and medical conditions can cause it. These are the three possible things that can cause hepatitis. Especially hepatitis C. That's the worst one. Harmful substances, medication, and some lifestyle factors can also cause it. So let's look at the lifestyle risk factors. Number one is environmental risk factor. This is when you reuse the injecting instruments such as needle and syringe. Lack of sanitation services can cause it. Eating unwashed produce, such as fruits, vegetables, and stuff that are not washed or that are not treated, or on clean water, on clean drinking water, not just water, the drinking one. If it's not safe, it's not treated, it's not clean, then it might be one of the causes. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is walking around toxic chemical. You're painting, all those odor, all these chemical we use to wash our bathroom, they can cause hepatitis. They can affect our organ, especially the internal one. Another one I want to talk about, which will be one of the environmental risk factors, is drinking large quantities of alcohol. You know, a lot of people drink and drink and drink and drink. This has to stop. Your body needs alcohol, fine, we believe that. The scientists confirmed it. The doctor prescribed it for some people, depending on the quantity. But he has to be moderated. He has to be moderated. You have to do it in moderation. It's very important because this is the thing that damages our organs, especially the liver, the lungs. And the last one I'm going to mention under environmental risk factor is taking medication. A lot of medication we are taking. Some people have, just slight headache. They start swallowing medication without being prescribed by the doctor. Some will even have chronic, illness. They don't see the doctor. They just go to the pharmacy and start buying pills, medication, and swallowing them. This is very risky. Please be very careful. All these I mentioned under this environmental risk could be the causes for hepatitis. And now let's look at the behavioral risk factor. And one of these is unprotected and unsafe sex. We've been mentioning this several times on the program. Unprotected and unsafe sex is very, very important. You have to be very careful. If you are not sure of your guy, your man, your woman, please be careful. That's all I'm going to say. You just have to be careful. It could be your husband, it could be your boyfriend. Talk to one another, educate each other. Let each other know what is going on in the world today. A lot of illnesses, a lot of diseases associated with unprotected, unsafe sex. We have to be very careful about it. The next one I'm going to mention is sharing toothbrushes, scissors, and razors. Seriously, do we have to share toothbrush? Oh no, we don't have to. Why will I be using your toothbrush? Even if it is too expensive, let alone it is not. It is not expensive. It's totally prohibited to share toothbrush. You can share razor if it is sterilized after being used by someone or yourself. You need to sterilize it. Scissors at the same time, you can share that if it is seriously sterilized. And another one I'm going to mention is tattooing and body piercing. You want to put everything on your body for what? For fashion. All these damage our skin, damage our both internal and external body. Trust me, we have to be very, very careful in things that we do. We think we are doing fashion. We want to be out there. We want people to see us that, yes, we are in market or we are in town. No, we don't have to do all that. Another lifestyle risk factor is health risk factor. And this includes not being vaccinated against viral hepatitis. You know, we have to take vaccine. When people ask me, do we have to take COVID-19 vaccine? I'm like, seriously, do you have to ask me that? Haven't you taken some vaccine before, such as hepatitis vaccine? So we have to be vaccinated against this viral hepatitis. Another thing we want to do is we want to have an acute or chronic infection treated, because it could be one of the health risks. That is, having an acute or chronic infection could be the cause. Also, having an autoimmune disorder can be another health risk factor. Another one is being born to a mother who is infected. That is infected mother to baby. Of course, this will happen during pregnancy. We all know that. So it can happen. If your mother is diagnosed of this hepatitis, it's possible that it, transfer it to the baby. And the last one I'm going to mention is the transfusion of unscreened blood and blood products. If the blood is not screened, if blood is polluted, if it is transfused to another body, this can be the cause. So we have to be very careful in doing this. Now, how do you know if the symptoms is for hepatitis and which type of hepatitis you have? I mean, how do you diagnose if this is A or B or C or D or autoimmune or toxic hepatitis? The first thing you want to do is you want to do what I call liver biopsy. Liver biopsy, it's one of the procedures that allows an anesthesiologist to insert a needle through the abdomen right here to remove a liver tissue sample for further analysis. Another thing is different blood tests could be recommended by the doctor. That is initial screen. That is usually done for hepatitis C anyway. So possible that your doctor asks you to do blood tests will be recommended. Another one is doctor may recommend you additional tests to check the severity of the liver damage before medication, because they need to know what is really wrong with your body, all the organs, your liver, before they can prescribe medication. They need to check how severe that hepatitis is before giving you medication. Now, let's look at how it's treated. Hepatitis is treated with a combination of antiviral medication. And this depends on the genotype of the virus, viral load, and presence of any liver damage. If that's going to be done, we need to look at the complication first. What are the complications? The complication is liver cancer, which means some people with hepatitis infection may develop liver cancer. There could be a complication of scarring of the liver. We call it cirrhosis. And this occurs after 20 to 30 years of hepatitis C infection. And the last one I'm going to mention, which is complication, is liver failure. This is when cirrhosis, the scarring of the liver has advanced. And what happens is the liver stops functioning. It stops working. That's it. So these are the complications if you have hepatitis and it's not treated. You need to know the complication. So once you are told that you have hepatitis, you have been diagnosed of that, you need to know the complication if you are not going to treat it. That's what you are going to get. Now, with all the information I have shared so far on hepatitis, this is the most useful tips. And what is that? It is prevention, which they say is better than cure. So now, how do we prevent hepatitis virus? Number one, you want to avoid usage of drug. Use drug injection equipment. Very, very important. You want to avoid that. You also want to avoid tattooing your body, acupuncture, or ear piercing, where the equipment are not known to be adequately sterilized. You want to be sure that even if you want to tattoo your body, you want to pierce your ears, you want to make sure that all this equipment using for you are well sterilized. It is very, very important. I keep saying it is important. When I say things is important, take it, it is important. You also want to practice safe sex. You want to take alcohol in moderate. You want to limit or avoid exposure to chemical. You want to do all this. Toxic environment, and mind the use of medication. You don't just use medication without being told to do so by ex practitioner, by the doctor. And the last one I'm going to mention is immune. You have to immune your system with healthy food, which of course we are going to talk about shortly. Now, I've talked about all this about hepatitis, and the key word is it is contagious. I told you you can contact it through somebody through blood. You have told you the complication as well. Seriously, this is real. This is real. A lot of people are walking on the street. They don't know what is actually wrong with their body system. Please and please, let us take note of this. And that is all we have for you on Health Corner today. Let's take a break. After the break, we're coming back to our interview with experts. So shortly, we're going to be back. So tighten your seatbelts, sit right, and let's see what we have on, wow, interview with experts. You will. Wow, welcome back to interview with experts. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. My goodness. Wow, wow, wow. See, I guess it's on the program right now. And I'm sure you can't wait to see this beautiful face I have for you. An expert, professional, a mother, someone who has been working so hard to see our children grow. Oh my goodness. Don't let me talk too much. She's going to tell you everything you need to know today when it comes to children, how to take, because a lot of people are they just have these kids. They don't know what it takes to be a mother or a father, probably, because some fathers take custody of their children. So I'm going to say mother and father. So parents in one word. So on this segment, we want to discuss the mental health effects this traumatic behavior has on our children. And on this topic, we are going to be a little bit emotional and factual, like I said earlier. And I want everyone to contribute because we are all parents. Of course, we don't pray for this to happen to our children. Seriously, no one pray for that. However, we need to prevent that now. But the most important thing is we have to take preventative measure. Preventative care. Please, if you want to ask questions or comment, please do so right now and be precise. Do it on time so that our guests can answer all our questions before the section is over. Remember, we have another section which is nutrition segment, and we want to keep to our time. So our guest on the show today, like I said, is an expert. Is Mrs. Atinuke Odjenima. She's a professional coach and deeply passionate in developing young people. Mrs. Atinuke earned a Bachelor of Science in Botany from Olabisi Onabanjo University and Masters in Public and International Affairs from University of Lagos, both in Nigeria. She has certifications, several certifications in leadership, peer education, and counseling. Mrs. Atinuke is a chartered human resources professional and a business management consultant. Mrs. Atinuke is a leader, expert, and team coach. And she is so passionate, like I said, in building, developing both the young one and our community. Our goal is seeing young people live great life that will make their parents and nation proud. And this is the reason she is on the Healthy Living with Bofa today, discussing on effects of childhood abuse on their health, our children's health. And this includes sexual abuse. Please join me in welcoming my beautiful, adorable sister and expert, Mrs. Atinuke Odjenima. You're welcome on Healthy Living with Bofa, Mrs. Odjenima. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sure, we can.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Thank you so very much. You're looking beautiful, and it's my pleasure to be on the show today. Thank you so very much. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. I want to appreciate you again for being who you are, for empowering our young ones, for building a community. I really want to give you credit for that. Thank you so much. I pray for more wisdom for you. Thank you so much. Today on the show, we want to look at negative effects of abuse, not only on our children's health, but on their entire lives. I mean, the emotional, the psychological, the mental, and the physical effect. And we are talking about child abuse, especially sexual abuse. You know, when a child is being abused, the actual or potential result will not only affect the child alone. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
But the entire family.
Can't you see me?
Yes, I can see you now. So it's not only going to affect the child, it's going to affect every human being that connects to that child, especially the parent. The parent will feel or probably suffer for this adverse effect on the action, the abuse. So we want you to educate us, bring more understanding into negative impacts this abuse will have on the children, physical, emotion, even mental health. Okay, but before we go deep down into today's discussion, let's first understand the actions, the acts, or probably the attitude that are considered as child abuse. And we also want to know the signs that we need to look out for when our child or children are being abused. If my child comes in, and there must be something that will tell me that this child is being touched, is being abused. So please tell us, what are the things, actions, or acts that classify that this particular attitude, this action is child abuse?
All right, thank you so very much, Ma. I want you to tell me if you can see me. Can you see me?
No, you just take it
Okay.
off. You just,
Okay.
you can
Okay.
do it again.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
so you can see me now. Okay. Just
Yes.
wanted to be sure because I was trying to access some certain things. All right, so here we are. Usually children are very innocent, you know, they want to be free, they want to express themselves, they just want to be who they are. Okay, so try to identify a child who is being abused will really take a thin line. I mean, it's going to take a kind of observation to really know that, to really see that the child is being abused. Okay, take for instance, the children, they will become moody. So how are you able to, so for parents or for caregivers who do not have this close relationship with their children, they may not just be able to detect when their children are being abused. You get my point? So that's why I said it is really a thin line. So like now they change in their mood, they change in their mood. They usually have mood swings. Okay, they have no self-esteem. It affects their academic performance. You know, it affects their, they are not confident. And there are some places they don't want to go. And of course, it affects their hygiene. So if we have parents who are not observant about these things, who really do not know who their children are, do not have close interaction to be able to detect these things, I tell you, it's going to be a little difficult. So now, maybe that will lead me to say things like, I wish I could really expatiate so much on all those things, like showing in the academics. Let me start by saying showing in academics. So for a child who was probably doing well in class, you know, who usually have good grades, okay, and so then this child begins to drop in grades over time, maybe over a period of a term. It's okay for parents to look at for why is this child doing so. And so looking at a child who is suffering from abuse, okay, is holistic. So it's not just in academics. So you would then want to look into okay, how is the hygiene? How is this person confident? Is this child free to express himself or herself? You know, sometimes children they just want to be on their own. Is it just part of their normal self to be on their own, or there's a reason for them to want to be on their own, or they're just shy, or there's a particular family member or friend they just don't want to be around? You know what I mean? Especially if such family or friend is an abuser. So let me just say that really abusers are not people far from children. Abusers are people within the children's circle. So they are within their family, within the parents' friends, within the neighborhood. So when you begin to see that your children are not so free with a particular person, or maybe you go to drop them somewhere and they really do not like to go there, and yet they aren't, communicating that verbally with you, then you should know that there's something fundamentally wrong with that child, especially when you have a relationship with that child, knowing that this is not the usual, this is not usual personality, of this child. I mean, those are the things I feel that a parent who is paying close attention to the child can actually have low grades in school, poor hygiene, low self-esteem, not wanting to meet with some family members, and not also wanting to go to some certain places, and of course emotional swings.
Wow. Now, people generally believe that the child abuse is getting worse in our community, and we all know that. There's no doubt about it, but it happens regularly. What are likely the causes? What are the factors driving increased child abuse breaches in our society?
Okay, so should I say that it depends on the kind of abuse? That it depends on the kind of abuse. Now, take for instance now. A few days ago, I was driving on the streets of Lagos, and I saw some children walking in traffic, and I was just trying to do a size up about their ages, and I found out that, these kids are not more than 10, 11, 12. Excuse me, that is child abuse. So what could have led to such child being on the road, running in traffic, on express road? I'm telling you, not internal street roads. So what do you think would have led to that? It's poverty. It's poverty. So now parents need their children to support them, bring in income to fend for the family. So that's number one. So
poverty can be one of the causes.
Yes, that's number one. Then number two also is, I'm not trying to blame parents. I know that money runs things. You know what I mean? Money runs things means that we need to feed, we need to eat, we need to clothe, we need to go about our daily livelihood. All those things requires money, right? So parents get to work a lot, okay, and leave their children in the hands of untrained caregivers, house helps, nannies, and all of that. And you never can tell what those people do with them, how they treat their emotion. All right. So I remember when my daughter was I'm trying to give an example of a kind of an emotional trauma, which I feel that was child abuse upon my own child. My child was a baby. I think she was just about 6 or 7 months. So I just stepped out of the house to go to the market. So I had this house nanny then, and so right from the beginning of the street, I heard my daughter crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, this mother should just attend to this to this baby. Not even knowing that this baby that was saying the mother should attend to was actually my baby. Wow. So upon getting to the house, guess what I saw? I was like, so the crime became very, very vivid and very close. So I was like, okay, it's coming from our compound. Let me not enter into the house yet. So I went to the window to peep, and guess what? My daughter was crying. My daughter was practically crying on the floor, and guess what this nanny was doing? She didn't care. She was just sitting down, sleeping. As in, not in deep sleep, like when you are tired, your mother will come and pick you. So imagine if my child wasn't a baby. Of course, she was just 6. She was just about 7, 8 months old. You understand? So imagine if this was a child, because research actually has it that children below the ages of 5 are usually the ones who are usually more abused. So imagine if my child now grows up, I'm sure if I knocked on the door that day, she will quickly pick up my baby, act like as if she was really caring for her.
Yes.
All right. So these are the things that I think that sometimes too also causes it. Parents go out, they work so hard. I commend parents for the work they are doing for their children in trying to provide for their education, for their shelter and feeding provisions and all that. But then isn't at the detriment of it isn't at the detriment of the development of the total complete development of a child that forms a child. Because what forms a child really is not just in the provisions of those physical needs, but also meeting our children at their emotional level. So that is also an example. So in the case of sexual abuse, now take for instance, so that's why for every kind of different abuses, there are different factors that lead to them. Okay, so for sexual abuse now, you know, a lot of this sexual abuse also, I would say, it begins with people within us. I'm sorry, if I can't trust, if I don't have the trust that my brother or my brother or my in-law, someone should come and live with us, I am sorry, I can't leave my children in the hands of such people. Okay, and so I mean, abusers are found in our families and they're found in our friends and all of that. So sexual abuse and abusers, you know, they try to how do I put now? They try to threaten. Yes, they try to threaten. If you tell your mommy, if you tell your daddy, you know, I wouldn't do this for you, or I will do this for you, you know, and all those kind of things, all those kind of threats. And because they are family, because they are blood, because children get to see how their parents interact with this family and friends, so they tend to kind of believe them. I mean, children tend to believe those abusers that, oh, even if I tell my mom won't believe me. And sometimes parents, we trust our siblings even much more than our children. I don't know why or how that should be. We trust people around, you know, as I'm sorry, except for some cases that fathers abuse their own children, you know, except for that, or maybe some stepfathers, you know, do that to their stepchildren, you understand? So except for such cases where such a father is leveraging on relationship, like, you know, I'm your father. You get it?
Yes.
And because of also the issue of trust, that also makes the children to, you know, to succumb to such abuse. All right. So I think that for sexual abuse now is that we should trust our children enough. We should believe them enough. You know, we should believe them enough, and we should also be observant. Everything is in observation. I don't know, you know, if most of us are very close to our children. So when things are bothering them, they should be naturally free, you know, to discuss. With their parents, to discuss that, mommy, somebody.
I think we're still coming to that. Let's see what exposed. With all this anxiety and trauma we all experience in our homes, both outside and inside our house. We want to look at the possible things that can expose our children to that. You mentioned some of them, and I want you to really emphasize on that, because I want the parent to really learn from this. Now, with all the anxieties and all these crazy things that we experience, what measure can we, the parent or individuals, family, embrace to prevent our children from being exposed to these acts? Because I tell people that everything starts from us. If we need change, it starts from us, and we're from our homes. If my kids is being abused in my own house, and sometimes we abuse our children, we expose them to certain things. Imagine a mother is dressing half naked, going to the party, and later you see your kids doing the same thing. Because you see, Africans, we have one mentality, and that is very, very poor. When you see your child age, you know, nowadays you see the kids growing faster and they begin to develop these boobs more than their parents. They will think, oh, I'm now an adult. And meanwhile, they're still underage. So there are some things we must be telling them, that even though you have the body, you are not adult. That is the first thing, right? But in the moment you see yourself dressing half naked, going out ordinarily or to a party, and your daughter is watching this, all of a sudden she starts dressing the same way you do. Are you telling me that that parent will be able to control that child, and the child will not talk back like, excuse me, seriously? I saw you the way you dress. I thought it's a normal thing that I can do. You understand what I'm talking about? So things like that can be one of the things that expose our children to certain things. Or boyfriend comes in. So I want you to tell us, I don't want to say it. I want them to hear from the expert. Like, what are those things that can expose our children to such action, to child abuse?
Okay, I was just going to say something a little different, but I would come back to it. But let me pick it up from where you stopped. Okay, you know, parenting is not such an easy task. Parenting isn't such an easy task. I mean, I think this is truth that a lot of parents need to come to terms with. You know, it's not, and because children don't do what we ask them to do. You know, like a lot of parents run on, do what I say, don't do what I do. But meanwhile, children are actually being raised by what? By, I'm doing what you are doing, not what you are saying.
Yes.
Okay. So now, until when we begin to know that we are our children's first role models, you know, no wonder. Okay. So we usually have schools for young children, and so there was a part like that in all the schools where we had our clubs. So we had a kind of a survey. So like we had a survey for our club members' children. Now these are children in primary schools, so we're like, and also in secondary school, but we're like, okay, so who is your role model? Guess what? We had 70% of these children telling us that teachers are their role models. Wow, what happens to the parents?
Wow.
I mean, wow. So I think that teachers have come to the realization that they're destiny nurturers. And so perhaps they you know, in their selection of words, in their character, in their delivery of their teaching services, and in the complete nurturing of children. But I think that perhaps most parents just think that parenting is biological, as in just because I gave birth to you, you know, just because you came from my loins, and my responsibility is just to ensure that you have a roof over your head and you have food in your belly. Do you see? But there is much more to parenting. Yes. Parents are meant to be their children's role models. Parents are meant to do to mentor their children. So I'm saying on this show that if you want your children to have a particular kind of outcome, there's a way you want to see your child, or you want to see your children, you begin to act that way. Let me use this same example you used, which is very profound. Okay. And it's on principle. The way you dress, be sure that your children will dress the way you dress. So if a child says you're stupid, know that one of the parents actually uses the word stupid. You can be sure of that. That's true. So anything, excuse me, is there no Yoruba adage that says that our children are a mirror? So what you see in your child or your children exhibiting, be sure that child picked it somewhere in the house, either from the father or from the mother, or perhaps from people living in the home. So that's number one, and it's very, very key. We are role modeling our children, whether we like it or not, whether we know it or not, whether consciously or unconsciously, we are constantly role modeling them. And so
basically we can say that this is one of them. Sorry, because of our time,
exposing our children to.
Go ahead. Say? I said because of our time, we have to speed up.
Okay.
So basically, you're telling us that the way we do can be one of the exposure the kids will look at to fall into that trap of the abusers. Thank you so much. That's the key word. Now, some people blame parent or guardian if a child is abused. I'm going to use the case of the one that I share on my broadcast, WhatsApp broadcast. I'm going to use that scenario. If I rent an apartment from somebody and that man is taking advantage of my child, please, people from home, viewers, I need you to pay attention to this, because a lot is going on in our homes that we have no understanding of. Please pay attention to this. If let's say I'm poor, I can't afford to build my own house. I rent an apartment from somebody who is more richer than me. Could that be the reason why that landlord will molest, abuse my child? That is one. On the parent side, which makes people blame the parent, Don't forget what's happened in Lagos between the within the movie industry. That is another thing entirely. If my child is fall victim of such, they are blaming the mother, the parent, the guardian. Now, the child is being told by this guy not to tell anyone, not even her mother. I want us to contribute. Whatever you want to write, please write it. This child is asking questions. Should I tell my parents, or I should just keep quiet, as the man said? If I come to you as an expert, like, seriously, I'm going through this problem, what should I do? What would be your advice to that child? You know, a child is living in an apartment and the landlord is taking advantage, molesting the child. We use molestation or defilement for a child underage, adult rape. Now, it's molesting the child and said, don't tell anyone. If you do, you're going to be evicted. It just sounds sorry. I felt really, my system, everything, spirit in me went down when I read that thing. Somebody sent it to me. And this woman happened to be one of the coach for the team, like you do. And she's been on the program as well. It's one of our guests. So what will you say to that child? That is one. Then what will you say to the landlord? Two. Then what will you say to the parent, the guardian, before we close?
Okay, so so the child, if I were to be coaching the child, okay, so I would tell the child, of course, to tell the parents, So it's very important, because the decision whether to stay in that house or not doesn't lie in the hands of the child, lies in the hands of the parents. So if parents now, so perhaps this is what I'm saying to parents. I mean, if parents now so care and they believe this their child, if they believe their child, I think what they should do is protect that child. In fact, arrest the landlord, because they are not. I mean, you can't compare it. A child to housing. Excuse me. I mean, I would advise the parents to leave that house, because the future, the destiny of that child is at stake, and they can't afford to destroy the destiny of that child just because, or in the name of accommodation. Excuse me. If it's a bigger house, they'll move to a smaller house.
I'm sorry to cut you. Some things happen in our community. I'm sorry.
This landlord, they are paying. It's not free. It's not free, ma. It's not free. They are paying, and no matter how small, there's an equally good landlord somewhere who will be willing to take in, even if it is free. Even if they were living in that house free, and so they are scared of, where do we put our head because we are poor? Excuse me, not at the detriment of one's destiny.
That's right.
Because you know why? An abused child is not a complete adult and can never grow up to become a complete adult. So such abused child will become a burden to the society, to the world in some few years. So it shouldn't be it shouldn't be thought twice about.
What about, because of our time, what about if the woman, the mother even have knowledge of what is going on? Maybe something is going on intimately between the landlord and the mother. Because take, for instance, what's happened in the movie industry. At the end of the whole scenario, we got to realize that this lady, the guardian for the child and the accuser, they are both in relationship, right? What if it is exactly what happened? Maybe the child has been seeing something like that, and that makes the child so scared, like, oh, really? I don't want to hurt my mother. Maybe my mother is going to be mad, or if I tell, this is what is going to happen and stuff like that. What would you say to that? If the mother really have understanding of what is going on, who to be blamed in all this?
Wow.
I know it's
some things are actually easier said than done, honestly. But I think I totally understand your perspective, where you're coming from, about if the mother is actually in the know that the landlord or the friend, is abusing her daughter. Wow. I mean, should I call such a woman a wicked mom?
That's it.
Because because like I said, this child can never grow up to become a normal, responsible, independent adult.
Yes.
So this woman is an orchestrator of a confused destiny. I mean, it's wickedness, and I don't know what to say. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying that if perhaps we have coaches and friends, families, or community members who care and who are aware, perhaps for the love of the future, for the love of the destiny of that child, for the love of having a sane society, they should at least report the case, to the police. So now, reporting the case, it doesn't really have to be that maybe I'm related to them, but it's just because, see, the bigger picture really is that we want to create a sane society, which we all have roles and responsibilities in doing. Right. So this child doesn't have to be yours, or you don't even have to know them. But if you are aware that, oh, this woman is doing this, getting this favor from the landlord, at the detriment of the future and the future of this child. This is wickedness. This is bad. I think that a responsible community, a responsible neighbor, a responsible friend who is aware of that should step in and take the right action by reporting to the right authorities.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Before you go, let me quickly read the messages that we are getting from the YouTube channel to you. And our viewers are sending messaging saying that good afternoon, good evening, our guests and Bofa. This is enlightenment, and thank you so much for coming on the program. That is UTech Entertainment. And we have Mrs. Omoibirai to say good afternoon. You're welcome on the program. We have Mr. Onitsi Jukende says welcome on the program and is saying God bless you all, both myself and yourself. And we have our father, Professor Ario Sabit, saying child abuse has become cancerous, and that is true. Most especially in Nigeria, peradventure, due to abject poverty that you said, poverty could be one of the risk factors that leads so many people to this. That's true. So child nature nurturing is both physical and mental. Kudos to convener and the guest lecturer. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you. I want to say thank you so much, Mrs. Odjenima, for coming to this program. We really appreciate it. You want to continue with this topic? I think I'm still bringing you back, but because of our time, we got to let you go to the next section, which is our nutrition segment.
Okay, so please. Yeah, before I go, I think it's good. It's good I say just one thing. Good. I mean, one thing, yes, and that is we need parents to be educated. And we need even parents to educate our children. And so we need the assistance of our churches, mosques, and schools, institutions, to help everyone across board, the parents, servants, and also the children on all these various forms of abuses, and how they, even as children, can secure and, these abuses from up.
Yes.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much. I pray for more understanding, wisdom, knowledge, good health in life to go about all this, because you're really imparting many lives, and I want to congratulate you for doing so. You don't limit it to your own family. You extend it out there to favor, to help, to build and empower many young generations. And I pray the Lord will continue to help you through. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you. Maybe, like I said, I'm still bringing you back. So I'm going to say good night for coming on the show. God bless you, ma. Bye.
Bye.
So
thank you
our viewers, we have to go right now to our health corner, and I'm sure you can't wait to see what we have today. Briefly, we have 5 minutes ago, so we're going to quickly run through our health talk. Seriously, our nutrition talk. So I don't want to say, really, we just finished health talk. So let's do our nutrition right now, and I know you guys have been waiting for that. So quickly, we're going to talk about what's exactly the healthy food for hepatitis. These are the food that prevents hepatitis. Let's look at it. This is eating lots of course, fruits and vegetables. We want to be on fruits and vegetable, and that is green leafy vegetable. Kale, cabbage, spinach, shoko, tete, ewedu, okra. That's okra. So we want to make sure we live on fruits and vegetables. We also want to experiment on complex carbohydrates, and that are packed with vitamin B and minerals, as well as zinc and fiber. You also want to live on brown rice, oatmeal, white rice, whole grain bread, whole wheat cereal, and grain. And another one I want to say, which is very important, is you also want to stay away from gluten food. So eating a gluten-free diet, such as oats, barley, rye, and so on, are recommended. They are very good idea for you to live on food that have no gluten. It's very important. So you want to have adequate protein like fish, turkey, dry beans, soy, nuts, seed, tofu, and egg. Also dairy products such as calcium, vitamin D. You can get them from milk, cheese, yogurt. These are the food you need to eat to avoid or to prevent or to maintain this hepatitis. These are the food you want to avoid. It's very important. You don't just eat and eat. Once you have hepatitis, you want to avoid fatty food, salty food, sugary food. These food are forbidden. They are totally prohibited. You can't eat them. Avoid dietary supplements such as iron, organic, or genetically modified. So if you have iron, I suggest you just eat the food that contains iron instead of taking supplement. Organic or genetically modified supplement. So you want to practice self-care by avoiding smoking and excessive alcohol intake. This is very important. If you see some people, carton of beer, they finish it in 1 minute, in 5 minutes. They finish it. And they look at them, feels like they don't drink nothing. It's right there inside of you, and that is very dangerous. Please, the bottom line is most people with hepatitis C will not have to follow a special diet unless their liver is badly damaged. However, a healthful diet can help manage hepatitis, especially hepatitis C, and prevent complications and related conditions from developing. So please and please, immune your system with healthy food and leave the rest to God. God, if we do our part, then the God is taking care of the rest. Before I leave you, I want to leave you with this statement. Be very conscious, eat well, live a good, and be good to others. It's very important. Somebody you see yesterday, you may not have the opportunity to see them today. Things you feel like eating yesterday. Oh, I see this pan, I feel like eating it. I see this evening. This fish is fresh. I will eat it tomorrow. Who told you that you have tomorrow to live? It's only God. Nobody have monopoly of life. So please and please, death can come anytime. Let's live a good life. Right now we are breathing. We don't know what tomorrow has for us. And I pray that tomorrow will be better than today, and we're all going to enjoy the fruit of our labor. I hope someone is actually blessed with all the information we share on the program today on healthy living with Bofa. I wish you safe and good health. Please continue to support us. Share this program. Lots of people need it. They couldn't join us. After the program, please share the program. So I want to say thank you again for joining us. I'm still your host, Betsy Olayinka Folarin Akinosotu. I will see you next week by God's grace, in good health and in peace. God bless you. I love you. God loves you too much.